Software-defined networking in cloud. This is an area where you're seeing a lot of discussion and a lot of buzz out in the industry. So what is SDN? Is it network management? Is it overlays onto your network? Is it something called OpenFlow? Is it magic? What is this stuff? Well, SDN is, again, another one of those things that is in a lot of cases a marketing term. For all practical purposes, SDN has a very loose definition today. Things that used to be network management are now be called SDN, or software-defined networks. At the end of the day, it helps to have a better definition of SDN, so I'm going to provide one for you to be able to help to understand what it is SDN is trying to accomplish and why it matters for the cloud. So a good definition for SDN really comes from SDX Central, which is a website that I highly recommend you go take a look at. It's a great place to be able to find out what's going on in the world of SDN. But what SDN really is it's a new software-centric approach that basically allows you to use networking and reduce the capital and operating costs associated with it by using programmatic control. In other words, instead of having to deal with the network devices as we always have, we can now automate the configuration and the management and the operation of those devices. So it allows us to be able to then focus more on delivering the value and services back to our business and to our customers. It allows us to be able to rapidly innovate and optimize the capabilities. So if it sounds a lot like cloud, it really is in some cases. Why? Because we're leveraging the capabilities and being able to automate and orchestrate the infrastructure, and we're going to leverage cloud on top of it to be able to make that happen. So what problems does SDN address? It really kind of comes down to the fact that for the most part, networking has been the same for 25 years. You basically configure each one of the boxes that you put into your network, you configure it up, you stick it into the network, and you have to do that every time you add a new device. Well, that box-by-box configuration can be a challenge when you start talking about scale. Now, what is SDN trying to solve for? It's trying to make that easier. So instead of configuring a bunch of boxes, you configure your automation and orchestration system to be able to drive the configuration of that. You also have the ability to be able to focus less on having applications and services tied to specific network elements and be able to have those services layered on top. So that means that a device doesn't have to have a specific service tied to it, where it's only locked to that device and the licensing key for that one particular device. All these things that are a challenge today can be leveraged and fixed in an SDN world. So the applications and those services are then decoupled from those devices. The other aspect, and probably the most beneficial aspect of SDN, is operational complexity reduction. One of the most expensive things that you're seeing in your data center today, and really in IT operations in general, is the fact that there's a lot of complexity in networks. There's a lot of complexity in data center infrastructure. Why? Because you've got all these devices you've got to manage and configure. By reducing the operational complexity, you reduce operational cost, which in a lot of cases allows you to be able to move faster, as well as being able to offer that same service at a much lower cost. That's why SDN is so exciting for a lot of companies, and why they want to leverage it to be able to address their customers' needs a lot faster. SDN is ultimately a cloud enabler. So while SDN and cloud are not directly coupled, the capabilities that you have from an SDN perspective is really something that you can leverage in cloud. SDN is not a requirement for cloud, but it's absolutely something that you'll find benefit when you are leveraging a cloud environment. SDN technologies really provide a means to automate cloud. So when we start to talk about the abilities that you have within a cloud environment to be able to create these automation scripts and all the things we're going to be talking about in the future here in later lessons, you'll start to see where these things tie together and why it's so beneficial to have an infrastructure that allows you to be able to programmatically control it. Cisco has numerous ways to deliver SDN. We've got APIs that you can leverage, which these APIs are application programmable interfaces, which allow you to be able to then create custom scripts or to be able to leverage automation orchestration platforms to directly talk to the networking devices. So instead of having to go to each device and device by device configuration, I can just use these orchestration tools to be able to handle all of the heavy lifting. There's also plugins that are available for different operating systems and different solutions, like OpenStack, for example. The Neutron plugin within OpenStack controls networking. Well, the ability to be able to leverage the Neutron plugin with Cisco Gear is all built in. We've got those capabilities. There's also agents that can be deployed. These agents allow you to be able to automate different capabilities. So you may hear of technologies called, Puppet and Chef, or those different types of solutions. They're basically automation technologies, and allowing those agents to be supported on Cisco devices is a way that we can be able to then leverage those capabilities so that you can utilize them and automate your cloud environment. And then last but not least is ACI, our application-centric infrastructure. Cisco's ACI was built from the ground up to support an SDN-enabled world. So ultimately, again, SDN concepts are essential to efficient cloud operations because they're going to help to automate and orchestrate a lot of these capabilities, and they're going to give you the ability to be able to drive a lot of the functionality from cloud all the way down to the infrastructure.